What if the most divisive political character of our era, Donald Trump, isn't the cause of all the chaos we are seeing in America, but instead he is just the person who is lifting the curtain to show the world the truth about what America has always been? Ultimately, Trump is a revealer of truth, a truth that many people have been denying for a long time. And if you stick around, I'll tell you why focusing so much on him is going to make everything so much worse in the long run. There are a lot of crazy things happening these days, locally, but also on the world stage, and it is getting a lot of attention. I'm not going to cover the details, as everyone already knows what's happening. But as an outsider, I'm Canadian, there seems to be two extremes, and then everyone else. One side is saying, oh yeah, this is America, and they are cheering for this kind of stuff and this kind of action. The other side is saying, this isn't my America, and there's like a manic behind the wheel. And then all the rest are probably thinking, my life is too busy or difficult to deal with this, or maybe they don't even care about what's happening. This is by no means a value statement or a value judgment, but the first group seems to be the most aware of what America is all about, while the second group is either in denial, they're oblivious, or they're some kind of idealist. The truth is that Trump is the most American American. Trump is what people think of when they think of America or what it means to be an American. My wife didn't grow up here. She's Japanese, and when we watch American TV shows and there's a person taking the lead or being the boss, she always asks, why is he so arrogant? What she means, though, is why is that person so loud and controlling, which for us, people who have grown up being blasted with this culture our entire lives, it's just normal. We just sort of accept that that's the way that things are. But for people who didn't grow up with this, they may have a similar view to my wife of what an American is. It may be described as selfishness, dog eat dog, or win no matter what. And these are sort of American ideals. And while it seems a little bit harsh to describe it this way, it's kind of what makes America so great. That is why it has become the richest, most powerful country in the world for quite some time. As a result of this culture and how Trump came to be Trump, he is a perfect representation of that ideal. He is an American American. And of course, not all people are like that, but that is what a lot of people around the world, or even within America, would think of what an American is or how American people are. He's a sort of like idealization of that culture. Here's a little bit of a personal story. I talk to a couple of friends online sometimes. We've been doing this for years. The other two people, they're both Canadians, but one has been living in the USA for a little while. We've had lots of conversations where I've pointed out the bad things America has done in the past, the wars it's caused or been a part of, or how it's spying on its citizens, or controlling them in these complicated ways or these complicated systems, or the crazy lies they tell the world about why they're doing the things that they're doing, or why they did it. I tend to focus on the things that America has done, or more generally, the things that the West has done, rather than what the bad guys around the world are doing. And part of the reason why I do that is because we hear about what the bad guys around the world are doing all the time, and I kind of like to focus on the opposite, or the things that we're not hearing about. And these arguments always come against resistance from them. They say things like, but Russia, but China, but some country in the Middle East. These countries are doing bad things too. Worse things. In other words, my friends are trying to negate the bad things that the West is doing, or more specifically, the US has been doing. And I get this, because everyone thinks they are the good guys, and the rest of the world are the bad guys. And I'm sure, without a doubt, that people in China or people in Russia, they believe that their team is right, that they're fighting the good cause, and that the other people, the outsiders, are the bad guys. It's just natural human tendency. At the same time, we are super lucky to live here in North America rather than in those other countries. And there's no doubt that no matter where you are, there are always going to be people somewhere else in the world who are doing things that are way worse than what the things your people are doing. But that doesn't mean America isn't a world bully or aggressor. Post-World War II, the US has bombed 28 different countries and performed major military operations in 5 countries. Our worst enemies all around the world have attacked or bombed a fraction of that many countries. And this is made worse because the news is always filled with all these excuses as to why these people or these places had to be bombed. And this is made easier with a media that is controlled by the government and filled with propaganda. But you really have to ask yourself, how many of these events made the world a better place or actually reduced human suffering, compared to how many of these events made some kind of shareholders richer? And this is where Trump comes in. He seems to have no filter. He says it how it is, at least to him. He is loud and open about what he is doing. And he has made a lot of people get really angry and start losing their mind. Well, on the other hand, he's made a whole bunch of people really proud and cheer because they kind of believe this is what America is all about. And so America is doing what it's supposed to be doing. And he's proud of it. He's showing it off. He threatens Canada, then kidnaps a world leader, and these become hot topics, causing rage and frustration, as though something new and unexpected had happened. But this isn't actually the case. This is par for the course. This is typical American foreign policy. It has always been like this. Just in the past, it was happening in faraway places in other parts of the world. So we didn't realize it was happening, or could even pretend it wasn't happening because it was so far away. But the point is that while it seems like recently the world has been on fire, this isn't really unexpected. It is just how things have been for the last 70 years. This is American foreign policy on full display. And this isn't anything new. It just seems pressing now due to the internet sort of media hypercycles and the closeness to home. In reality, it has been progressing like this for a long time, and it is getting hotter, no doubt about it, but it's moving from 10 to 11 rather than from 1 to 10. And these sorts of events and travesties have always been happening, but there was usually an attempt to hide it or lie about why it was happening. It was to save the people or to liberate the country. But with Trump, he says, hey, they got oil. And people lose it because they finally hear the truth and feel that that makes it worse, even if it's always been about that, even if it's always been the same reason or cause for these events, even if there was talk about something else. And I'm not the only one saying this. Our Prime Minister in Canada, Mark Carney, spoke to the World Economic Forum about how the world order has always been an illusion, but it worked because we benefited from it, so we didn't make a fuss about it. My point is that this is how things have always been. There hasn't been a huge change in policy or the way things are done, just in that Trump doesn't keep it a secret. He's open about what he's doing, and that makes people feel a little bit uncomfortable. Because maybe they were okay with it happening in the past, as long as they were being lied to about why it was happening or how it was happening. And more locally, within the country, Trump is open about his willingness to take things in exchange for favors. But this is always how it has been. People have always suggested and believed that politicians were corrupt. Just look at all the money they get from causes that they fight for, like big oil and military spending. No one has any doubts that politicians do things in favor of those types of organizations. Or look at the Epstein files. This has become a Trump thing, but lots of people are implicated from all parts of the political spectrum. But it's mostly just rich and powerful people. Corruption or blackmail or whatever was going on there seems to be the way that things are done in the upper echelons of American society. Lots of people know this, right? They see this all the time. But at the same time, they're not necessarily willing or ready to accept it. And then when it gets shown to them, when it gets thrown in their face, then it becomes a problem because there's this understanding that this is how the world works, but it's a secret, it's hidden, there's layers of deception that cover it up. And when it becomes clear, when it becomes obvious, that is what really makes people uncomfortable. And I say all of this because so many people are focused on and worrying about the big problem being Trump. They protest him, they end relationships with people because of differing opinions about him, and they put all of their weight on what is happening on him. They act as though he is the cause, he is the problem. He is the problem with America today or the world today. But at some point, he's going to go away. Maybe he's impeached and he goes to jail, or maybe he just loses an election or whatever. And people will be happy and act as though, oh, all the problems have been solved, the bad guy is gone. But unfortunately, this is a huge failure of imagination because Trump is just the tip of the iceberg. The system is corrupt and illusionary. In fact, the corruption of the system is why someone like him can rise to the top and become so powerful. And the people around him on both sides of the political spectrum are just as bad. But they aren't the same target of people's ire at this moment as he is. The problem is that people are putting all of their focus on the revealer of the truth. So they are missing the actual real truth. They are missing the point. He is just one example. He is just the current obvious topic of conversation, but he's also only a symptom of a much deeper and bigger problem. The real problem is so much worse, and everyone is being distracted by the current thing or the current guy, rather than seeing the massive chunk of a problem that's just under the surface, that's been brewing and getting worse for decades. Even worse, nothing will change when it's all over. People will keep focusing on him no matter how bad things get. They will misplace their frustrations on Trump, and in the end, he will become a scapegoat for all of the problems in America and all of the people's frustrations. But that won't change anything. It will just make it easier and worse the next time, because when the next time comes, the president will be maybe a little bit more shinier and clean on the edges, and maybe the veil will get thrown over everything again, and people will miss how the temperature never stopped rising.
If the curtain is open, what do you see? Is it a broken system or just a new era of honesty? Let me know in the comments. I'm Canadian, so maybe I'm missing something here, but I don't think I am.